You know, and welcome back. Oh, there we are. Wait, is it not capturing now? Okay, why does OBS have to be stupid sometimes? Anyway, welcome back for more PokeMMO. Today, going to be finishing up trading for the Maxi and Tabitha double battle, which I absolutely should have no issues getting done today. But as I said before, it is kind of a scary battle. Not just because it's a double battle, but also because they do have significant type diversity and team synergy as well. They have kind of a sun team going on. But I think I have a pretty solid game plan for it at this point. Okay, it's 23 experience points away from evolving Enrith into Armaldo. And get myself a Swalot. And a Swalot would be good for countering the champ potentially. But I don't think I'm going to get one. Just since it's, you know, a Nuzlocke and I don't get to choose my encounters. Go ahead and evolve Sam into Armaldo. Yeah, I don't think Open is catchable anymore at this point. I can only think of one place I can actually obtain one, and I've already passed it. But anyway, let's ditch the EXP share now. Go for... where is it? Wildlands. Now, most of my team is ready. I use half my team. Just need to level the rest at 243. And then get my ability capsules and whatnot. You know, Nuzlocke, but you refuse to follow the rules. Sounds like you just do a normal playthrough then, to be honest. Cheddar broccoli soup is top tier. I'll be honest, broccoli is probably my second least favorite vegetable. I really prefer things like spinach, potato, carrot, cabbage, peas. Cheese on soup is already sus and deviant, add with it one to lower tier veggies and give an actual disaster meal. I've had cheese soup before. And honestly, I thought it was a bit too cheesy. And I know that's an unpopular opinion. I think most people really like cheese soup. you've been called a cabbage patch previously, you can say it's pure cabbage skin. Definitely one of the better vegetables in my opinion. I'm not getting much experience from these. Might be faster if I go somewhere else to train, but I don't think I really have a significantly better spot. Well, now that I think about it, I could probably get away with somewhere else. I think the main reason I was training there was because of the Hoenns. But I don't... has more, spread moves for Sweet Sun training. So that's kind of irrelevant at this point. I didn't have any issues training here now. Maybe. Gloom doesn't really have a good way to deal with... Or Aristotemus doesn't have a good way to deal with Gloom. What did I eat for lunch? I just had peanut butter on toast, to be honest. Thoughts on bread bowls? I've never had one. They seem potentially good. Especially since a lot of the time soup goes well with bread. And then any leftover bread after you eat the soup you can just eat. But as I said, I've never actually had one. I don't think I've had veggie stew either. I've really been craving curry, which I'm going to be making on Thanksgiving. But what else is new? I'm always craving curry. And chili was good, you made it with your family and they helped. Oh, Cider Man's recipe? I think I might need to try making it myself. Aim for is thankful for Indian food. Indian food and Thai food are definitely my favorites. All your plates and bowls are made out of bread? That's a lot. But isn't Ethiopian food typically eaten effectively using bread as a plate? Okay. This protect stalling is annoying. don't call you gluten baby for nothing. But yeah, I thought you were a Cabbage Patch baby. Wait, is that new? It's showing my stat changes. I swear that wasn't there before. Full Gen 3 music to be so good. Yuki Masuda, I think? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I think my favorite Pokemon music is from Explorers of Sky. Explorers of Sky is just generally my favorite Pokemon game. Never played any of the newer ones, but ranking solely on musical alone, Pokemon is one of the gaming industry leaders. I do think that's a bit of a stretch in my opinion. Some of my favorite video game composers are people like Kiichi Okabe and Darren Korb. And I always use Drakengard 3 as, I guess, the perfect example of how to make a good video game soundtrack. TA is probably the worst OST of any Pokemon game. I haven't played it, so I guess I can't really give good input on that front. Your Cabbage Patch baby, a gluten baby, a forever baby? I feel like that's a completely different thing. First, I don't think I've ever actually heard the term forever baby, but it sounds like you're someone who's always going to be a baby. You watch gameplay and the songs are really repetitive. Yep, the city only has one song and the nighttime only has one song too. The battle themes are usually on point. I do think Pokemon music tends to be very iconic. And the way they compose music for the games, at least from the start of the series, is very different from most games with the same hardware limitations. There will be someone older than you, so to them you're basically a baby. I don't know. Some people do view everyone younger than them as basically being babies, and everyone older than them as basically being dinosaurs. But I've never really thought like that. You see my team? Yeah, my team for this fight is going to be Zephyros and Aristodemus in the lead. In the back we'll have Ire, Remelt, Sam, and Amalthea. Amalthea is basically primarily there to overwrite the sun with rain, and Remelt's mainly there for a lightning rod. And then Ire and Sam are there for coverage. But since the AI leads with random Pokemon, I don't know what they're going to lead with, and basically need to consider all the options and kind of wing it from there. Let's see. Just gonna teach hang on, what TMs did I even just get? I think one of them was Brick Break, which I was gonna teach to Sam. We can go ahead and replace Slash. What was the other one I bought? I thought it was Weather Ball. But I don't see that in my TM list. Oh, was it a protect TM? Maybe? That would make some amount of sense, since I did want one of those. Or was it... No, probably was this Protect, which I was gonna teach to Aristodemus. I think I got and replaced Hypnosis, which I was only keeping for catching Pokemon. Then I guess I can worry about the rest later. You take the Cloyster and Poliwrath, very, very cool. They have been very helpful Pokemon, I think. I mainly used Ire as a shelter for early game gyms. Like for Falkner and Roxanne. Poliwrath is just an all-around strong Pokemon. I don't think there's anything specific it does particularly well. It's just kind of an all-rounder. I have a favorite list of Pokemon. I have an image saved of basically my favorite Pokemon of each type. I do think my favorites have changed a little since then, and I think the page I used to make it got taken down at some point. I forget about the Polyline. It's kind of surprising. And they're Gen 1, for one thing. I've used Poliwrath kind of a lot in casual playthroughs. And Politoed also has its niches, like for setting up rain and for things like Encore and Perish Song. That's a bit more specialized. I do like Poliwag's design. Plus Poliwhirl just looks kinda goofy. Have I seen that Magikarp beanie? I'm not sure what you're referring to. I guess that's permanent now. Interesting. It's like Magikarp is eating your head. Is that an in-game thing, or is it merch they made? Poliwhirl is one of the few middle stages that actually look good. And I think a lot of middle stages look good, but there's definitely a fair number that look awkward. I think an obvious example of that is Croconaw. And in my opinion, Charmeleon. Because that might be a bit unpopular. its real merch and it's the best in terms of headwear. I think I'm gonna have to look into that. That person had some odd accessories on. I think a vast majority of metal stages look pretty bad, mostly with starters. Like Frogno and Combuskin. They're definitely starter middle stages I think look pretty good, like Oix Idol and Quilava and Bayleaf. And a Politoed called Muffin that was the MVP of your Radical Red run. Interesting. I don't know a whole lot about Radical Red. I do know that Politoed is a Pokemon you can do some interesting things with. You're not a fan of the Chikorita line, but Bayleaf might be the best looking. I do think Meganium looks a little goofy. But honestly, I don't dislike the line in general. I do know a lot of people hate on it though. The ability Drizzle was amazing. Well, yeah, it's a great ability. Being able to set up Rain without wasting a turn for it is very strong. Oh, welcome, Neon. How am I? I'm doing well, I think. How about yourself? I'm just training up my game a bit for kind of a scary fight coming up. Is this a special type of Nuzlocke? Well, I think the main thing about it that's different from other Nuzlockes is I'm playing through all 5 regions of PokeMMO. So the rule set is adapted to playing through multiple regions rather than just one. I see Automod bonked you for bullying Chikorita. Well, not bonked, just held the message. Catch a Pelipper? I have a Pelipper, it's in my party right now. But welcome in. I'm going to be buying an ability capsule soon so I can change its ability to Drizzle. Because I kind of need it for this upcoming fight. Did anyone see the sprite? Yeah, the part party sprites are kind of tiny on the side of the screen, so they might be difficult to see depending on what device you're watching this on. I haven't thought of a specific favorite mon in a long time, but you always have ones you think of for each gen. I never really thought about dividing up my favorites based on generation. Ghost is my favorite type though, and Steel is obviously a great type. So are all the regions connected? Kind of. Basically, once you unlock the main port city of each region, you can use that port to travel to a different region. And each region has its own independent level caps and whatnot. You can still carry Pokemon and items over. I've been playing through them in order, so I finished Kanto and Johto. Currently in late game Hoenn. Since I beat Tate and Eliza. I like Bulbasaur, it's just a happy baby. I do really like Bulbasaur. I think of the original first stage trio. It has the best design. He made an account for PokeMMO but never played. I definitely have had a lot of fun with it. So I'd recommend playing it if you have any interest. So now that I've started, I guess, nuzlocking other games, I've kind of been candy pilled, as they say. So needing to grind up your Pokemon has become very tedious, in my opinion. And the funny thing about the Kanto starters is I actually have a different favorite depending on the evolutionary stage. For Kanto, or for first stage I like Bulbasaur, for middle stage I like Ortvartle, but for final stage I like Charizard. That's not good. This might be the reason I wasn't training here before. But they're not attacking. They are setting up though, which is a bit scary. I still can't escape. Do they even have any damaging moves? If Home Claws, Bestow, Rest, and Fury Swipes, which doesn't do much. Okay, I'm fine. I just bumped up an auctioneer book. Good choice. My favorite starters? Or Kanto starters? Not Trada, because you've been itching to play through the first 3 generations of Pokemon. I do think it's a good vanilla plus experience. Especially for the Gen 3 games, since they use Gen 5 mechanics. So you still get the physical special split, you still get abilities working better than they did originally, like Sturdy. Fertile was an obtrusive middle favorite. You always thought it was beyond strange with the cloud tail on the ears. And I think it looks neat. But again, that's probably an unpopular opinion. I think the first stages of the Gen 2 starters are generally cute, though I'm not really a big fan of any of their fully evolved forms. I do like Bayleaf and Palava though. Faster than Aristotemus. I might actually go ahead and give him the XP Shura. Gen 3 is your favorite because Swampert? Swampert is a great Pokemon. I think Gen 3 and Gen 4 starters are excellent. Any of them are bad in terms of design or mechanics. Even if the way the games, I guess the regions are designed, does end up favoring one over the others. It's less a fault of the individual Pokemon and more the fault of the region design. Like Spiky Clam Ghastly. I can't say I've ever heard of Cloistered being put that way before. I don't know, I think it's a decent design. I don't think it's particular standout though. This team I'm using right now is specifically to deal with the Maxie and Tabitha fight coming up. Since It seemed like a battle that I would need a specialized team to deal with. I used Empoleon at first because penguins are awesome. I do like penguins. Speaking of penguins, do you ever finish Mawaru Penguin Drum, Ciderman? Prinplup is the worst stage to do it that gen though. That is fair. Prinplup's design is definitely one of the awkward middle stages. And now that I think about it, Grotto is as well to an extent. Maybe Gen 3 does just have the best starters, at least in terms of design. Gen 4 is definitely my personal favorite generation. I think that's mainly because of the music and atmosphere. Can I stop getting swaggered, please? You only played Gen 3 years later when you borrowed it from a friend, so you're not as fond of it as others. That is nostalgic for you, I guess. Honestly, despite not being my first games, the original Hoenn games feel the most nostalgic to me. Sorry, I feel my throat starting to get a bit sore. Gen 3 is unrivaled when it comes to exploration. I think I can agree with that. Gen 3... I say Gen 3, the Hoenn region, I think, is the best designed of any region. I don't think any game is strictly better than the others. But region is definitely Gen 3's strongest point. My trainer is just like a mummy. This is an outfit that I actually got as a gift by the person who runs the guides I've been referencing, because I basically pointed out information that was out of date. actually gave me the cosmetics as thank you. But I don't think I'm sick. As far as I'm aware. I'm just... I think talking this much isn't something I'm used to doing. Despite how much I've been, or how long I've been streaming for at this point. Of course, if you compare my streams now to my first streams, the differences are very clear. Who is the best in-game cry? It has to be Gastrodon. Gen 4 in general has some great Pokemon cries. I think Gastrodon's is my favorite. You like the Mankey and Purus ones? Those get updated at some point. I think Gen 5 or Gen 1 cries in general feel pretty generic. Now that you think about it, what does Phantom's cry sound like? I'm not remembering. Can't talk much either, you're super shy. It definitely has taken some work and effort to be able to talk this much. I'm surprised they didn't update Gen 1 cries at this point. Well, some of them they have updated. Like if you hear Pikachu or Eevee in any of the newer games, it sounds completely different. But those are special cases. You do an impression, but yeah, you can't really do that in chat, can ya? You think about Phantom, but not Mankey? Well, Mankey's one of the Gen 1 Pokemon, which, as I've said, generally have generic cries, in my opinion. You haven't really played since Gen 6, even though you have the other games. I think they gave Eevee a new cry in Gen 5. Might be remembering that wrong though. I don't currently have an Eevee. Oh, that doesn't sound like a... It doesn't sound like what I thought was its Gen 5 cray. It's not really fair to call out Gen 1 crays like that, because back in their day they didn't exactly have much to work with. Well yeah, it's absolutely a hardware limitation. nowadays calculators have more memory than a Game Boy game? Do they? I guess they do, don't they? Now that I think about it. At least they have an impressive amount of memory. Not sure that it's quite on the level of the original Game Boy, though. I like the Rayquaza theme. Very epic and menacing. Does Rayquaza have its own theme, or is it the same as Kyogre and Groudon's? I'm personally a huge fan of Giratina's battle theme. Just because it sounds so soothing. Satoru Iwata is a genius that made it possible to add Kanto into Gen 2. Did this thing just get an Omni boost from Ancient Power? Dang. Yeah, I didn't hear that Kanto originally wasn't going to be in the Gen 2 games. Of course, the Pokemon games in general are notoriously poor in terms of optimization. I feel like I've used this example to death, but for example, instead of having one Dawn that all the different areas can call and actually have show up, each area has its own set of Dawn sprites that it uses, which is kind of ridiculous. The Gen 4 champion theme is really good. And the Regis also have a really good battle theme. That's actually insane. Yeah. Looks like ads are starting in a couple minutes, so I'm going to be taking a break when those hit. Like Leaf's sun hat, but Dawn's beanie is cool too. They do have good designs, I think. I think some of the awkward earlier character designs are Lyra and Lucas. But in general, I think the earlier character designs are nice. Which one was Lucas? The male protagonist from Diamond and Pearl. Cute emotes, thank you. I think my emote artist makes adorable emotes. Kai actually commissioned him recently. Not sure whether you saw those in Pi's server. Okay. I need to knock this out. Add starting in 10 seconds. Okay, can you stop using swagger so I can finish this battle and take my break? Yeah, the wave and salute emotes. Stop using swagger. Oh, that's not swagger. There we are. Ads are starting, so I'll go ahead and take my break here and be back in just a few minutes. Alright, I'm back and it looks like OBS is again having problems, I guess because they switched the scene. And anyway, I'm just about finished training up this team. Then it's going to be off to the Moss Deep Space Center. And after that, I search to figure out what team I want to use for Archie and Shelly, which at least they're single battles rather than doubles. Welcome back, thank you. I think the Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald sprites and comparing them to even Forward Leaf Green, they look extremely antiquated. Can't see if other thought that before. I don't know, maybe I need to take a closer look. Cheryl, you believed online rumors that so if you beat the Elite Four 100 times and went to the space station in Emerald, they'd fly you to the moon to fight the Oxus? I can't say that I ever actually believed in that kind of rumor. And there obviously were the rumors that you could, say, hold down the A button when catching a Pokemon and it increases your odds, that kind of thing. Which I didn't believe at first, I admit. But it did end up growing out of. So wasn't it in, was it Fire Red Leaf Green? Or if you defeat the Elite Four some absurd number of times, a certain plushie will show up in one of their rooms or something? As a kid, you kinda had to just to keep hope alive that you could encounter them in the game. But sure, sadly mythical Pokemon at least used to be way too inaccessible. In Lorelei's room, I thought it was Lorelei, but I don't actually remember having access to Lorelei's room in the games. Hey, that's just something I never found. You lived in the Civi Islands? Yeah, I never fully explored those. I guess that makes sense. You fight rockets with her? It just reminds me that in the manga, the Elite Four are actually part of Team Rocket or something, but the manga is wild. I don't think it can really be considered canon. There are a lot of different Pokemon manga, actually. I'm not sure that I'm not sure which one is really the official one, or if there is one specific official one. Watched a video that's with like Konga Sabrina and the Chance referral paid off by Giovanni. It definitely sounds like something that would happen in the manga. Stuff I read in terms of the Pokemon manga. There's a mystery dungeon manga that I read. That was interesting. And there's a Sinnoh manga where the protagonist was raised in the wild or something, and they constantly be climbing trees and buildings and stuff. I think I only read the first volume. But I have heard things like Zatmo Kuno existing in one of them. Which I guess they do end up putting in Pokemon Fusion. The time has come to quesadilla. We miss quesadilla. Are you using quesadilla as a verb to mean eating a quesadilla? Buy your younger cousin a black and white manga collection thingy. And she couldn't read it because it had a swear in it. That's really something. It's understandable that parents wouldn't want small children to read that kind of thing. I don't know how young you're talking though. That reminds me. When Taime ended up having my young cousins snap their heads towards me when I said freaking, which I don't think is generally considered a swear. Welcome, PB. Booster is a simple but awesome cry. I have to admit, I haven't been paying super close attention. Yeah, I don't know, that just kind of sounds like generic Gen 1 to me. You snapped your head just now. Sorry, this is an E10 and up stream. And I think that's the rating of the Pokemon games. You stick that Death Breed and it seems interesting. How far into it did you get, or did you just read the summary? I think if you watch the first 2 episodes, that's a good reference for what the rest of it is going to be like, or whether you're going to end up liking the whole thing. You're heading out 10 plus, only you get it. Now that I think about it, what's the minimum age that Twitch allows? I haven't really looked into that. As for all the Gen 1 hate, I don't think they've been hating on Gen 1. I just think the cries are generic, which, as I've admitted, are due to hardware limitations rather than poor design. It's obsessed with the free run right now. I haven't seen that one. I've heard a lot of good things about it though. And that it's basically about how beings that live as long as elves doing fantasy would experience time, which is an interesting premise. You're on episode 22 and need season 2 to come out soon, so that when you finish season 1 you can keep watching. I tend to avoid watching incomplete anime or reading incomplete manga. I've definitely broken that general rule more and more lately. So I guess, at least to an extent, I've gotten more used to waiting for new chapters and stuff to come out. Reading Bleach for the first time since it finished, and it's so nice to just keep reading without waiting for weekly chapters. I think it's more immersive that way. Don't think Mind Reader is going to be useful. I don't anticipate needing to deal with any double team spammers or anything like that. I guess I don't need the EXP share on anymore. We never delved into Bleach. If there were really either, I've had it recommended to me, but it's never really stood out as interesting. I just don't think it's the kind of anime I tend to watch. manga I tend to read, I should say. It's definitely worth it if you're a huge Bleach fan. The anime is definitely dated, but the new arc is really good and peaceful. I see. If you want context for my tastes, one of my favorite, I should say some of my favorite anime are things like Mawaru Penguin Drum and Death Parade and Psycho Pass. And I read anime or read manga like Monster. And one else was interesting. I really like Shinsekai Yori, but I wasn't able to finish the anime. I never read the manga. I just read the original light novel, which I would recommend if you actually read light novels. Has anyone seen Durarara? I've heard of it, but don't really know anything about it. I'll check out Death Parade. I think, as I said earlier, if you watch the first 2 episodes, it should give you a good idea of what the rest of the anime is gonna be like. And I think it's a good... I think it's good for generally giving an idea of what kind of anime I watch. Mawaru Penguin Drum is one that I just always encourage people to watch. For one, because it's my favorite, or one of my favorites, and it's not very well known, and not really like anything else out there. You turn down the game a bit. You turn down my volume, or my game volume, or turn up my voice volume. Either one would be fine. And I think maybe my voice could be louder. That is the sound. First, I could just do balls. I'm not sure what degree I should be changing it. If it's only a little bit off, then hopefully this is enough. Max out my voice volume in OBS. trained up now, which means... time for... getting ability capsules and PMs and whatnot. I should be able to buy ability capsules at the daycare. And how's my audio now? They maxed out my voice and lowered my game volume a little. That was the pill I need. Two of these, I think. One for drizzle and one for water absorb. Here they are. They do have damp right now. Yeah. Change Sinai to drizzle. Slightly lower the game volume. Something like this. That sounds like a pretty significant drop to me. That's really good now. Alright, thanks for letting me know. Let's see, what do I need now? I need Rock Slide. I need Weather Ball. I need Thunderbolt. I think that's all I need. I don't think... Yeah, Aristotle should be fine. Fire... should be fine. Multi with Weather Ball should be fine. The Frost's moveset is all prepared. Remote with Thunderbolt should be fine. There are other moves that could be good, but I don't want to spend too much money. I definitely want to replace Rock Blast. Was the Penguin manga I mentioned? I'll type it out, but it's an anime original. So it wasn't originally a manga. I think they made a manga adaptation at some point, but I definitely recommend the original. I haven't actually read the manga. The question is, what's the best place to buy the TMs I need? I don't have any TMs. There might be TMs in Slateport. No TMs here. All you heard was penguin, so you weren't sure what it was called. Yeah, it's kind of a Japanese-English fusion. Already bought a Protect. And you got a Brick Break. Don't need anything else here. I don't think the first few towns had any, but I guess I can check. And either all cosmetics. Not even a secondary shopkeeper here. Can always check the... Does place even have a mart? I was gonna say I wasn't sure there was one. But I wasn't confident in saying there wasn't. Yeah, I do think Mario Penguin Drum is underappreciated. Honestly, I probably should be checking the department store first, so I'm not running around like this. Here's Rock Slide, which I believe is cheaper than on the GTO. Yeah. Into the department store. Which floor are the TMs on? Sure, I'll take a lotto ticket. Nothing. Didn't even tell me what floor anything's on. Get out of the way, please. are cams here, but this is kind of a garbage selection. Are these whole base decorations? They are. Okay, so the department store was a bust. Have they ever won the lotto? Have they ever won anything? I don't think so. I think there might have been a Pokemon game where I got something small. There are gonna be a bunch of players here, aren't there? Surprisingly not. Okay. ETO it is. Playing a Thunderbolt. And a Weather Ball. I am not completely broke, at least. Weather Ball on Emulsia, get rid of Air Cutter. And then Rock Slide on Sam, get rid of Rock Blast. And Thunderbolt on Ramil. I think I get rid of Charge. Was there anything else I needed? I mean, skilling could be nice. So in Thunder and Volt Switch, I don't think any of those things are necessary. There are grunts and stuff I need to get through. But I think I'm about as prepared as I'm going to be. Eddie wants to deal with all the grunts so I can get more money. They shouldn't be much of an issue. Raising level 30 Puccina. 31. So was he 31 Zubat? I don't think I even need to switch here. All toy to just go down to a waterfall. Why do they make the grunts so much weaker than the boss trainers? This isn't even a warm-up. This thing's evolved at least, at its level 26. I don't think the attack drop is going to matter. That's weaker than the wild Pokemon I was trying to train. Yeah. Not even a second Intimidate. May as well restore my power points before going upstairs. Alright, how many more grunts do I need to get through? 3, evidently. Three fights in a row. Level 32 Zubat. Sure, let's switch into Ronel. Badly poisoned. I forgot to reorder my moves. Thanks, I can do that after. Not exactly important, but... Level 32 Mightyena. That's a bit more threatening than a Zubat. Not that that's saying much. You got a Numel or something? Also, didn't I look it up before and see that it's supposed to be pronounced Baltoy? It's a balancing toy. Alright, let's go heal. Thunderbolt in front. Alright, now we know this is normally a tag battle. But from what I've seen, PokeMMO changed it. Just having you fight alone. I'm not fighting alone. Interesting. But this kind of ruined my plan a bit. I still override the sun with rain as planned. Not having lightning rod here does kind of suck. That's true, having Aggron as a partner does also mean water-type Weather Ball is being used against me. And your favorite songs in the entire game? Maxie's battle theme is very good. Torkoal is pretty neutered right now. I think I just Weather Ball for Alakazam. Shockwave is going to hurt. Oh. Goodbye, Amalthea. My bad on that. I'll be honest, I'm very much thrown off by not having to do this alone. Night Slash should be an easy one-shot on the Alakazam. Torkoal shouldn't be much of a threat with Rain in play. If I just focus on one side. Oh, welcome, Blue. Thank you for the raid. I'm kind of in the middle of a difficult double battle here, but for those who don't know, I am Dina Purley, a Challenger and VTuber. I'm currently trying to Nuzlocke all of PokeMMO, but I think I really messed up here. But how was your stream, Blue? What were you up to? this is not good. So I think I'd likely go down to an acrobatics here. This is my last Pokemon. I just used Protect. Game's still alive. How about dodged? And I go down to a Thunder Fang. I'll be honest, this might be really bad timing for you to come in. Definitely need to protect here. Please take out... Oh, that does nothing. Yeah, I'm just toast. As I get at spud and good onto acrobatics. Blading Rod. Well, I got thrown off because this ended up being a tag battle rather than me getting to use just my Pokemon. So I can only actually use 3. We gave Jennifer bad luck. Don't blame Blue for this. I do think I may have gotten distracted a little bit. As I said, I got thrown off because this wasn't what I was expecting it to be. So, I definitely don't want to restart this from the beginning. I guess the question is... is being misled by my sources of information a good enough reason to invalidate the wipe here? As I said earlier, the not being able to use rare candies to level up and just needing to grind the old-fashioned way makes this take an absurd amount of time. So honestly, even if I stop, I'm not sure I'm even going to want to start this again. I kind of just want to press lock, run, and bun. But I think that's pretty unsatisfying. I think what I need is to as I said, acknowledge that that my information was wrong and try this again. Which just means I need to decide which 3 Pokemon I want to bring for this. I think Rumelt is pretty necessary. Multi is also pretty necessary. That does mean I don't know... I don't have a good counter for dark types. But I think that's okay. Not having Rumelt really hurt, both for the Crobat and for the Shockwave from Alakazam. Alright, let's try it this way. For context, I started this Nuzlocke February of last year. So... yeah, that's interesting. It's the same weeds. So as usual, I want to override the sun with rain as planned. Nice that wiping doesn't automatically mean the run ends. Well, that's what I originally intended in my rules. I'm currently 23 badges in out of 40. Here comes Alakazam, which is going to Shockwave. So I can go ahead and switch to Rumelt. I could Protect instead, but I don't think that's the right move here. Plus I get the special attack boost from Lightning Rod doing that. Alakazam did not take any damage here. And I'm likely going to be taking a lot of damage. Did I just switch to Zephyros? I'm probably getting targeted with Psychic. Is a Psychic? Looks like ships Alakazam. That Weather Ball does kind of a lot. I definitely need to Night Slash the Alakazam here. The Frost might go down to another Weather Ball. It's a Rock Slide, Alakazam goes down. Please flinch Torkomer. Is not flinched in by Zephyros. Personally feel like it's one of the less important Nuzlocke rules. I wouldn't say that. I think it helps keep things interesting. Now Crobat's coming in. Are starting here, so I think I'm going to need to take my break and be back in a few minutes. Kind of bad timing, but I'd rather not have people miss it. Alright, answer over. I'm back. I'm actually not really sure what my best play here is because now Crobat is coming out. It has Flying Jump Acrobatics. My best way of dealing with it is Rumel. Who has already taken a chunk of damage from a Weather Ball. But I still need a Malphia for dealing with the Camerupt after Torkoal. So I think I need to send in Rumel and hope she can survive to take out the Crobat. Okay, she's alive. Crobat's down. Entang takes out the Torkoal. What does that leave? Camerupt and Myena? There's probably Earth Power. I can switch to Amalthea, reset the rain. Not take any damage. Assuming I am predicting this correctly. Flamethrower on the Metang. Good thing I reset the rain. Weather Ball should just take this out. Now leaves the Myena, who I'm guessing is going for Thunder Fang. So I can switch to Remelt, activate Lightning Rod again. Steven's using potions. That's against the rules. There's the Thunder Fang. The question is now, do I go for another Thunderbolt or do I switch? It's probably better to just Thunderbolt. Although, now that I think about it, this Metang has Brick Break. It is -1 attack. No, it's not because of Clear Body. I think you just Thunderbolt. And that does it. I lost Sephiroth, but knowing it's a tag battle, I was able to finish it. Honestly, it feels bad. Basically, ruling that first attempt as void because of it being a tag battle instead of doubles, but I think it's preferable to the alternatives of completely restarting the Nuzlocke I've been doing for years. Or almost years at this point. And, or just calling it and doing something else. But with that battle done, next I need to return for Shelly and Archie. I'm not really sure. I haven't really thought about what team to use. It's a lot of water types, a lot of dark types, and another Crobat which I don't really want to have to deal with. But yeah, the Pokemon, or I guess the order of Pokemon in my party changed completely knowing it was a tag battle rather than doubles, because originally I was going to lead Aristotemus. I don't think he was the right choice given it's a tag battle. Anyway, I also wouldn't have needed to train up all the Pokemon I did and spend as much money on TMs and whatnot, but I guess that's my punishment for a misconception. For Crawdon, the obvious counter is Aristotemus. Reloads everything except close combat and can hit back with super effective drain punches. Same with Walrein. And Sharpedo, actually. Aristotemus is very well into Shelly's team. Mighty Ana, I think I need to pull out. And I could use Sam, or I could use Bartholomew. I guess we'll have to see which is better against the other Pokemon. Archie's Sharpedo. Again, Aristotemus does very well into Lantern. I think I could use a grass type, maybe? But that would be weak to Ice Beam is the problem. Unless I level up my Lotad for that. I don't have any ground types with Water Sword, but even then I would also be weak to Ice Beam. I think Ferocious might be my only good option. My own Lantern is over-leveled right now, because I used it in the Johto Elite Four. Tentacruel. Wait, this thing doesn't even have a poison attack. It's just Rain Dance, Surf, Ice Beam, Giga Drain. So Ferocious could also potentially be a good choice. Oh, not really, because I wouldn't really have anything to hit back. Like ever? Wait, what do you mean, Spider-Man? Poison attacks at all on his pull? No, just this specific Tentacruel doesn't have any poison attacks. And thank you everyone for the follows. I can't actually see who followed at the moment. I don't know why it doesn't show up in chat for me. And of course there's the Crobat. But this one can probably get walled by Sirius. It has Cross Poison, Acrobatics, Giga Drain, and Shadow Ball. Sirius definitely walls this. And there's Mighty Yena. Which again, Birth Polymus should be good against. So what do I use against this Tentacruel? Water type not weak to Giga Drain would be good. I do have a Malthea. But I don't think setting up Rain would be good. And it also doesn't resist Ice Beam. I have my own Tentacruel. So again, Gyarados wouldn't really be able to hit back. And if I use both Gyarados and Ferocious, then the Tentacruel shouldn't really be a problem. It seems like my best option. Which means once again running 3 water types. Ferocious is the only one who's super low level. I'll go ahead and give him the EXP share. What level do I need to train to, by the way? Oh, welcome, Quaker. Thank you for the raid. I was not expecting to get raided this much today. I'm Juniper Lee, a challenge run VTuber. Currently doing a Nuzlocke of PokeMMO. But how is your stream, Quaker? What were you up to? Okay, what item do I want for Tentacruel? Seems like leftovers would be good. I definitely need leftovers for Sirius. I'll probably go with something else on Aristodemus. I have a black belt or something. Is a Nuzlocke across all PokeMMO gens? Yeah, I'm playing through all 5 regions, and the final boss is going to be Red. I'm currently 23 badges into this. It's been a long Nuzlocke. Here's the black belt. With leftovers here. Excited for my debut. Thank you. I'm also excited about it, but also a bit nervous. I do really like the new model, but to an extent I'm worried about being able to use it properly. It would take you forever to do it without it being a Nuzlocke. Yeah, if you're not speedrunning or something, it is definitely a time sink. And especially in a Nuzlocke, you're doing a lot of grinding and playing slowly and carefully. And you can't exactly hack in rare candies. I think I'm going to want a Lumberry on Bartholomew. But for now, I'll go with something else. And I guess I could go... No, I don't think Scope Lens makes a whole lot of sense with that Super Luck. How's my Nuzlocke going so far? This is kind of an awkward time to ask, to be honest. I just went into the Maxi Tabitha tag battle expecting it to just be a double bow. From what I've seen online, it's a double battle and doesn't actually operate as a tag battle like it does in the vanilla games, but apparently that got changed. And it was a tag battle. And I kind of basically restarted to change what Pokemon I was using. When it technically should have been a wipe. But I don't really want to reset the Nuzlocke I've been doing for 21 months now. And do all that grinding again. Honestly, if it weren't for the grind, I would be fine with resetting. And just calling it a loss, but... without being able to use rare candies, it's just way too tedious. Do I not have a silk scarf? They should have one. And... oh, I left it on Delcatty. There we are. So I guess I need to train this team up now. I shouldn't be putting these in this box. And you can probably see I have a lot of Pokemon built up at this point. If you're wondering what my death box looks like, this top row died in Kanto, this middle row died in Johto, and this bottom row have been my deaths in Hoenn. On my Maxi Tabitha rematch, I just lost Zephyros. Hang on, chat is moving a little too fast here. I've been playing it for 21 months straight or intermittently. Well, I've been trying to be consistent with it. Have a good night, Alec. How am I supposed to pronounce that? Alekiner? And thank you for the follow. I want some XP candies. I mean, it would be nice, but I also don't. I also kind of need the EVs from training, or I'll be at a stat disadvantage. And to focus on your studies, but you're back. Nice to meet me. Thank you. It's nice to meet you too. And you don't have to worry about leaving or going AFK or anything. If you don't have the time, you don't have the time, and at least I like to think that if people are here, it's because they want to be. I want you in here as well. There we are, and then I need my sweet center and my flare. And AR is pronounced near, by the way. Good to know. Ellie Kainier. Unless people call you Allie. You haven't played it in ages, but you do have some. I appreciate the offer. And thank you for the bless. Let me do the help. Health has been checked. Are you in the mood for Pokemon yourself now? I hope you have a good time with that. I think it would be cool if I ever inspired someone to do the challenges I do. Or any challenges in general, really. I miss playing the 2D pixel games. They're definitely nostalgic, I think. And what level do I want to evolve Ruleset at? That's kind of an important question before I do my training. Let me check the wiki for level up movesets. I know Ludicolo is a stone evolution, so probably doesn't really get good level up moves. Or any really aside from level 1. Which Pokemon game did I start with? Fire Red. Yeah, have a good night, Allie. So Lombre gets Oldine at 24. Lucius is already 27. Giga Drain at 36. Energy Ball at 57. What do I have for coverage moves? Doesn't look like I have anything particularly good for a whatchamacallit? Basic roll. Not sure why I blanked on that for so long. And it gets mud shot by TM as well as hidden power. An energy ball is probably my best bet, which I think I need a TM for since by level up it gets it way too late. Unless I delay the evolution, which I probably should do. If I delay till 43 to Lombre and then Ludicolo at 44. It's probably my best bet. So if I'm gonna do Sweet Scent training, guess we'll just head back here. I don't think later is really safe for Sweet Scenting. Used to 100% on Silksong. I still don't know what that is, but congrats on that. I'm still just past the first ending. There's still way more to the game I need to explore. Also, why am I not using Sweet Scent? If you're being honest, you really don't know how you got here. First series of raids. Oh, you're glad to hear my stream has been great. Thank you. It is interesting how raid chains can just lead you to a streamer you never would have found otherwise. It seems like the main way I find streamers is through other streamers. Like, I found Blue through Zeta, and then found Pi through Blue. Found Quaker through Pi. Check how you got You tried to go back and see what happened, but it only brought you to the homepage? That's weird. I don't think I've ever tried going back like that, though. PokeMMO. But yeah, thank you, all shirt Ain't Karen's again. Welcome in. I think the rest of stream today is probably just going to be grinding, which isn't all that exciting, but sometimes what I'll do when I'm grinding is just pull up Slay the Spire or something on the side to play at the same time, which I might go ahead and do now. But sometimes I just am fine talking with chat during that time. We also catch up on what I missed in chat because it went kind of quickly. Or significantly more than I'm used to, at least. I guess one thing I will ask, hi. What do you think of... This isn't gonna do enough, is it? What do you think of... Silk Song after the first ending compared to before? Like, how much different is it being as spoiler free as you can? Have I picked up on Silk Song much recently? Well, I played... At least time before, I played a little bit after the first ending. Basically just going back to the slab and looking for the last key, which wasn't there. But I haven't really done anything since then. My plan next is to go to the rest of Biowater since I never went back there after getting Monarch Wings. So I don't even have the map yet. I'm clearly talking way too much anyway. I wouldn't say that. I do think it's kind of manageable how quickly it's moving right now. Especially since I'm just grinding right now. Yeah, if you want to focus on studying, you can feel free to do that. I don't want you to feel pressured to chat or anything. A lot of the time when I do Sweet Sun training, I forget to use Sweet Sun. and just kind of run back and forth for random encounters. I'm doing it now just as I'm talking about it. I don't feel pressured at all, don't worry. You're having an amazing time being in my stream. Thank you. I'm glad that anyone enjoys watching, to be honest. I just kind of started this channel on a whim, just to try it out, and ended up really liking VTubing in itself. I kind of lost track of where I was going with that, but I asked you about Spooksong. Yeah, I asked basically how different you would say the game is after the first ending compared to before, without spoiling things. I am curious, but honestly I haven't had time, it feels like, to just go back and play casually. And of course I have my model debut coming up. I've been planning for the next Regionlocke, which we're probably going to be starting in January at this rate. There's the Driftwalk race coming up in December, but they still haven't released any information on that, really, aside from the fact that it's gonna be Pokemon Block 2 and that he wants us to use BizHawk. I'm kind of surprised there hasn't been a Twitter announcement or anything on that yet. But hopefully that's coming soon. I'd say I'm just missing out on a lot of story bosses, zones, and whatnot. In all honesty, being the first one, you wouldn't count as beating the game. Is it like a first two endings to Nier Automata kind of deal? Because getting ending B and especially ending A in that game is far from experiencing the full story and what the game is like. You never actually finished Nier, but you're doing new things during Act 3. I know in... I guess... Is it more substantial than how much more to the game there was in Hollow Knight after getting the first ending? Or about the same? Yeah, you need to beat the game twice to get an entire story arc. Basically. Because after ending A, you basically get a new perspective on the first section, and then after that there's a time skip and it's basically completely different. That's a good question. When you fear you like the memory for? I see. Kind of annoying needing to cancel the evolution again and again, but I can't exactly equip both an EXP share and an Everstone. It looked like I was getting server lag there. And now it looks like my OBS might be lagging. Maybe it's just my internet. Hopefully it ends up being fine. CA did something right. Manual evolutions only. How does that even work? Like, is there just a notification that you unlock an evolution and then you need to open the menu and it gives an indicator that a mon's ready to evolve? So you don't actually know until you open the menu? That seems kind of odd. In the pause menu, there's a golden arrow pointing up. It seems... I'm not sure I'd say that's a strictly better way of doing it, because then you could easily miss that a Pokemon is ready if you're not familiar with when Pokemon are supposed to evolve. Only level 30. There's still a long way to go. The 43. I've only gone up 3 levels so far. I'm wondering whether it might be worth it to change Maradoc's ability to Liquid Ooze. And Clear Body is a good ability in general. Not particularly great or anything, but decent. Whereas Liquid Ooze is more niche. In this specific case, it would be better, but I don't think it's worth spending the money on an ability capsule for, is it? It might just be a waste of money. I guess I should check what coverage can potentially get on more dock. Hex might be my only real option. Ace Beam obviously isn't very effective. Neither is Blizzard. That's not what I meant to bring up. EQ Drain would be done because it's Liquid Ooze. It seems like Hex is the best I've got. Which isn't ideal if I'm taking Giga Drains. Maybe I will end up needing to go for Liquid Ooze. You forgot you haven't done Hoenn yet? What have you done in PokeMMO so far? I haven't actually done anything other than Nuzlocking in PokeMMO. My first time playing was a Nuzlocke of Sinnoh. I still need to finish Hoenn, and I never finished Unify either on my personal account. Maybe to include Johto and Unova. I remember playing this with friends. They wanted to start in Johto, but Johto didn't exist in the game yet. So we ended up starting in Sinnoh instead. But I think that was more my request. I did a completely random starter, like I've been doing in every region for this run. And got Tiplup, which also happened to be the same starter the rest picked. Which is why I ended up making the Team Tiplup gang. Normally Johto is the GOAT, but only because it connects to Kanto too. Wouldn't that make Kanto the GOAT? I don't think Kanto has good lore related to the legendaries. I do think it has good atmosphere a lot of the time. I think in terms of design, it's a better region than Kanto. Of course, it definitely has issues with its Pokédex and its gym leaders and its level curves, but that's why I'm under mechanical side of things. It is just Kanto DLC. It definitely feels that way sometimes. But it has so many Kanto Pokemon in it. The gym leaders basically all use Kanto Pokemon. If you compare that to Hoenn, which mostly has Hoenn Pokemon in it. And as we were talking about before, I think it has the best region design in general. I definitely think it stands on its own better than Johto does. But Hoenn and Sinnoh are some of my favorite regions. It's really extremely non-linear, made many options on how to play. I'm not sure I'd say it's extremely non-linear compared to regions like, oh, Johto. And I actually think Johto is less linear than Kanto. But starting in Gen 5, there is absolutely a trend of regions becoming way more linear. The game's being more hand-holdy in the overworld. And if you look at the route you take through Pokemon Black and White, it's actually just a line. If you look at the route you take through Kalos, it's basically just a line. If you look at the route you take through Galar, it's basically just a line. It obviously changed a lot in Scarlet and Violet, but that's probably my biggest complaint about the Pokemon games after Gen 4. Oh, welcome, Grief. I should probably give a warning. Ads are starting in like a minute and a half, so I am going to be taking another break then. Sinnoh is great, but a bit roadblocky. Not necessarily sure that it has more roadblocks than, say, Kanto or Hoenn. That definitely makes it effectively more linear. Not so much compared to Unova, as I was saying, but more linear than some of the others. Scarlet and Violet is clearly meant to be linear too. leaders and teams and levels are all set. Oh yeah, without adaptive level scaling is still a set way you're supposed to progress through the game. But it's definitely not as linear as the other regions I mentioned before. And I wouldn't say that Gold and Silver suffers because of the non-linearity. I think that's just because the level scaling decisions made were questionable. Like, there's no reason you should be training on level 30s to fight Red. But anyway, ads are starting here, so I'm going to take my break and be back in a few minutes. Ends are over. I am back. I'm not entirely sure how much longer I'm going to be streaming for. I think I want to be finished by midnight at least. But I should be fine to stream for another half hour or so. Welcome, Yoder. But again, think I'm just gonna be training for the rest of the stream. "14 more hours? I'm definitely not gonna be streaming that long tonight. I do need sleep. I guess the Pokemons. Oh, well, I finished Moss Deep Space Center earlier. And now I'm training for the... I'm training up a team for the Shelly and G fights. I admittedly forget the exact progression of this split in Emerald. I've gotten so used to the Mega Ruby Alpha Sapphire progression. Yeah, this point is kind of weird. It's just different. I honestly like how you have to deal with both Team Aqua and Team Magma in Emerald. And Team Magma's base actually makes a lot more sense being in... Gosh, I'm forgetting the name of it. Yeah, route south of Mount Chimney. Compared to being by Lily Cove. Needs to backtrack after this and do some other stuff. What exactly do you mean by that? I know the next major battles are Shelly and Urchi, which are in the seafloor cavern as normal. Do I need to go watch them wake up Groudon or something? For Team Magma? I don't think I need to fight Maxie again or anything. But yeah, going to the Space Center wouldn't explain Groudon's awakening or anything like that. Oh wait, did that already happen in Magma Hideout? I don't think it did. Do I go for Rain Dance? I don't think so. I do still have Amalthea Asterisk for setting rain. By backstrikes you mean before they let you into Aqua Base, you have to have already dealt with Magma on the mountain to watch Archie steal the Sunrain. Right. I think you need to go back to sleep for it anyway. The submarine cutscene. They've already been through Magma Hideout. So do I need to go back to Mount Chimney again? guess I can look this up. Let's take it Route 125. That's one of the water routes, isn't it? Hang on. Is this my map up here? No, this is my map. Why did I just remove from my hotbar? Oh, that's where Shoal Cave is. I should go back to Shoal Cave, I guess. Oh, welcome, Les. You've already been there. I think Sayport is the only thing you have to go back to. And I've already been to Shoal Caves. If I don't need to go there again... Yeah, let me look into this more. Space Center... Okay, I don't need to go back to Shoal Cave. I haven't been to Route 127 yet, I don't think. I guess that's where I have to go next. Oh my... I'm doing well, I think. How about yourself? I'm so used to hearing Zeta call you Yoder that I just kind of call you that instinctively now. It's cool how other people are live running around me and us. I think PokeMMO is a cool game in general. As I've said, I've kind of been candy pilled at this point, so grinding just feels very tedious. I can also call you Yoder. Alright. Welcome. Not sure how I'm supposed to pronounce that. Econ? What game is this? This is PokeMMO. It's basically an online ROM hack. It primarily uses Gen 5 mechanics, has the first 5 regions, and it does have updated movesets. Or if basically if a Pokemon learns a move in a newer generation, or an ability in a newer generation, it also gets access to it in this game. You enjoy grinding in Pokemon, you crave the classic EV training. To each their own, I guess. I personally just think the most fun part of Nuzlocke is right. Basically everything that isn't grinding. I like catching and using different Pokemon, planning out battles and working through them. Those are pronunciation. They say online ROM hack. Yeah, that's basically what it is. Lotad is one of your favorite Pokemon. I do really like Lotad. It has a great design. And I used one in one of my... I call it a Navlock of Alpha Sapphire, where it's basically a Nuzlocke centered around the Dex Nav. And using Cornelia de Ludicolo was fun, though he did end up dying to a crit boosted Retaliate from Norman's second slacking, which was tragic. Planning is super fun and getting a new encounter is pure dopamine. Yeah, it's... I think it's interesting having the Pokemon available to you being random. It encourages you to use Pokemon you wouldn't otherwise use before, and I guess gives you kind of a unique puzzle to solve, working with what you have to figure out how best to handle whatever it is you're trying to deal with, whether it's a gym leader or Elite Explorer. And it definitely gives me a greater appreciation for different Pokemon. It inspires you, you're downloading the game again. I hope you end up enjoying it. If I inspire you to download it and you end up disliking it, then I apologize. We can fly to Rustboro City. You can pass me some L candy. I appreciate it. I guess they could be useful at some point, but I'm not sure that it's something I necessarily want to use. And today I played Radical Red and Nuzlocke did go to Skuntank and become one of your favorite Pokemon after that. Skuntank is an interesting one. But yeah, similarly in Johto, Fortress became one of my favorites, thanks to Nuzlocking. I'm kinda cute, not gonna lie. Thank you. I'm wondering what spurred that comment. Fortress is really good, but Steel slaps. It's definitely a great typing. Absolutely a physical wall. And getting access to to Curse Gyro Ball is definitely fun to use. And working around its fire weakness with pivoting and protects is very interesting, I think. Well, Caesar comes. See, I think I like Fortress more than Caesar now. And I'm saying something because Caesar is kind of a poster child of U-turn, which is my favorite move in the game. The part where I said, ENS, you do not enjoy it, I apologize, was kind of adorable. But... yeah, that's just kind of the way I think and talk, to be honest. Yeah, Gyro Ball is also one of the best moves in the game, in your opinion. Honestly, haven't really used the move much before outside of... Actually, I think Fortress is the only Pokemon I've ever used it on. And I think part of that is because as your Pokemon levels up, it naturally gets faster even if it's a slower Pokemon in general, so you kind of get punished for being a higher level in that sense. But it combos very well with Curse, both lowering your speed and boosting your attack. I understand that, and it's what makes me be me. I appreciate your kind words. This is my first time playing Emerald. Not really. I played Emerald as a kid, and this is kind of a modified version of it, since it's PokeMMO. This is my first time being this far in Emerald in PokeMMO. I will say that much. Ankle Martyr, did everyone know I'm debuting a new model on the 23rd? 27th, which is a Saturday. I didn't put the right number in the teaser, didn't I? In Gen 6, VUC used Aegislash with Durable. Me personally, purposely bred it of low speed IVs, bad speed nature. Yeah, I've never heard of it being used on Aegislash, but Aegislash is a fun Pokemon in general, and I've heard it being used on Bronzong specifically, since it's also a naturally slow Pokemon with Steel-type Stem. And of course great for countering Xerneas at the time. There are mods for Pokemon games you don't play on, so you have no idea. Yeah, there are a lot of ROM hacks for Pokemon. And there's one that I really want to Nuzlocke that I'm probably going to be starting after I finish this one, called Run and Fun, which is the best, or considered the most difficult ROM hack. It's at least one of the most difficult. You could argue that the original Crystal Kaizo Crystal Kaizen, not Crystal Kaizen Plus is harder. Or that Emerald Kaizo is harder. But that one's kind of solved. But I do really want to Nuzlocke Run and Bun sooner or later. It's also designed specifically for Nuzlocking, so that Nuzlocke specific mechanics I find appealing. I think you mixed up the dates. No worries. A lot going on this month. Yeah, that's understandable. Shield Snipe is probably the best type in the game. At least in my opinion. A lot of people say Fairy is the best, with Steel being a close second. Really for its offensive properties. And having fewer weaknesses. And I think the sheer number of resistances Steel offers is very strong. And PTSD with Emerald Kaizo. Why am I clicking on that right now? Did you play Emerald Kaizo? I'd say water is the best type. Water is a very good type. Very solid all around. Kind of ironic calling water solid, but you know what I mean. Yeah, water is relatively balanced, but I'd say it's pretty strong. Especially one of the better types. Ghost is another type that I think is underrated. And Ghost is my favorite type, as I said. That's largely from a design perspective, but also it's having two weaknesses and only two, or having two immunities and only two weaknesses is very good, I think. Only two resistances isn't great, but alongside having two immunities, there aren't many types with more than 4 resistances. Tail of Dragon Mono. Mono's a decent type. That's another one of those types with good resistances that doesn't really have much in the way of coverage, but a big part of it is it has... It can hit almost anything for neutral damage. Or at least neutral damage. The only exceptions being Steel and now Fairy. And that's a big reason why they introduced Fairy in the first place. Your best friend who only plays Pokemon uses mainly ghost types. Interesting. In all seriousness, though, your favorite is poison. That's interesting. My best friend's favorite type is also poison. I think it's an interesting type. Again, it's pretty defensive without much going for it offensively. There are also just a ton of poison types in Gen and Gen 1. What starter did I choose? Well, I've been using random starters for each region. And funnily enough, I got the grass starter all 3 times. I got Bulbasaur and Kanto, Chikorita and Jetto, Trico and Hoenn. And sadly, Joseph died as an Ivysaur. I still have Chikorita, and Turtwin is a Sub-Child now. He used to run a Pokemon Gym League on a Pokemon forum back in the day. That sounds interesting. I've heard of people doing something like that, but never really looked into it much. If you could be a Pokemon, what would you be? Are we talking personality-wise? Or like what my real self is most similar to? Are we talking like VTuber design? I'm really not sure what the answer would be for that first one. I think June would be Rocky and Noivern. I was gonna say Crobat is it's one of my favorite Pokemon. Definitely my favorite poison type. It's a really cool design, cool color scheme. And definitely has similarities to my VTuber design. Just whatever I want to be. I don't know. Did I just say Crobat? I did, yeah. Didn't you say your favorite Pokemon was Zubat? Welcome back. Your studies are winning the fight. That is unfortunate. Sorry guys, Junie is here, Oshi. I'm flattered. I will say I think it's getting about time for me to end stream for today. Wonder how I use the lore from my OC. Reality with the pinch of fantasy, really. I've mentioned my small bit of lore before. But basically, I grew up in the beautiful snowscape of Alaska, where my parents ran a motel for moose. And someday, a couple of the moosey patrons got into a fight, and I was mesmerized. They thought, what if someone could harness the power of these moose to make them the very best like no one ever was? And then I realized, no Juniper, that's a horrible idea, and I just went back to playing Pokemon. Yeah, I think this is a good place to stop. I guess I'll find someone to raid. I raided Spooky last time. I could just raid Taco. Alright, well, if you're watching on YouTube and would like to join the raid, feel free to switch over to Twitch. Next stream should be tomorrow. Going to be continuing my Dungeon Defenders Iron Man challenge with the Countess. Kind of stopped in the middle of her run last time. But, as always, and I should probably say, like, Martyr mentioned earlier, I am planning on debuting my new model on the... Wait, did I see a 27th before? Did I see the wrong date in my teaser? It's supposed to be this Saturday after Thanksgiving. Which I guess would be the 29th. I might have put the wrong number in my debut, but... or my teaser, but anyway. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.